Mm, mm. So I'm just gonna get into it. It's not gonna be a lot of fluff today. We got some we got some pretty interesting topics today. And I think we all can get it for the most part. It's gonna be pretty quick as far as everything else is concerned on what we want to talk about concerning our Atlanta Falcons. But a couple of things that I want to kind of get over. Want to talk about and go over. Yeah. So this probably won't be yeah, so this is not going to be a very popular one. And I just want to tell a lot of people that if you're pointing at one particular person in this instance in regards to this defense, you're absolutely wrong. I just like, I don't even hate to tell you, but I'm going to tell you, you're wrong. Okay? You're wrong if you think this is one person's issue and concern. You're wrong. 110% wrong. If you think this is one person's fault. And the crazy part about it, you like, we know this. But because we don't like a certain person or we're not getting a certain type of response or we're not getting what we thought we was getting, we want to point the finger at one guy. Well, it was going right, so it has to be right. It has to be this guy's fault. And it isn't. Gotta tell you guys that it's not just one person's fault. On the defensive side of the ball, it's not just one person's fault on the defensive side of the ball. If you think that, then you're crazy. I don't say crazy, but you're uninformed, and to be honest, I can understand why you would probably think that, but like I said before, this is one guy. One guy we have to look at and say what's going on. And the part of the crazy and sad part about this, we all been down this road before. We've been down this road before, and yet we do not want to hold guys accountable because we like them. Yeah, that's because we like him. He's a cool guy. They're cool guys. And we don't want to point the finger at because it was all good just a week ago. It was all good just a week ago. And to everybody who just getting into the chat, appreciate it. Truly appreciate everybody who can join us. And like I said, this is going to be one of those live shows where I'm going to say a lot of unpopular things. So, Brian Peace, what's going on? Austin, Derek Hughes, Nathan Floyd, Southside, what's going on? And like I said, let me get into these brief conversation that I want to talk about, because I actually made a couple of videos on this. All right, so the first one I want to kind of give in, Daniel Jones has been benched in favor of Danny DeVito, but Tommy DeVito as the quarterback for the New York Jets. And that's going to be, not New York Jets, but New York Giants. And that's going to be interesting in itself, because obviously with him being benched for DeVito, it pretty much signified that this guy's going to he's done in New York. All right. And I think, with Saquon Barkley being gone, obviously having a terrific year himself, they're obviously going into a new direction where, you could quite possibly see Deion's son being gone. So he's definitely, the Giants are definitely in the market for a new quarterback. And I'll tell you in a second why that is significant. Because I have something that I actually want to talk about in regards to Daniel Jones and this Atlanta Falcons team and what all this means. But the conversation that I really want to have real quick, or should I say, me, should I sing to you? Should I sing to you? Because I've been preaching, I've been talking, but for whatever reason, people don't like to hear the truth. People don't like the truth. People don't like to hear. I've been saying this for quite some time. We've been saying this for quite some time. That why this guy continues to get more and more excuses than any other quarterback I've seen in my life. This son bitch get more excuses and more exceptions than any quarterback that I've seen. I've never seen so many. I've never seen this so much. Y'all saw the game yourself. Y'all saw it. It was the first game on CBS. If you're in Atlanta, you saw the game. You saw the game for yourself. Should I put up the numbers? As a matter of fact, let me pull up those numbers. Because I was told that I was Uncle Ruckus. We were Uncle Ruckus, Uncle Tom, hating on the black man. I mean, you name it, we recall, and we were labeled that. Joseph, how you doing, sir? But you name it, that's what we were. All because of just telling the truth about the guy. Mm-hmm. No, NFL, don't try to hide the scorecard from me. ESPN trying to hide the scorecard from me. Come on. Where is it? There we go. Don't do it like ESPN. Oh, you gonna see. I probably the chat probably get real. So these are the numbers, okay? For this guy that everybody said it was one of the greatest quarterbacks and the elite quarterback, all this type of stuff. And this guy was 16 of 33, 207 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. This team is 7-4, and the Pittsburgh Steelers right now are in first place. But I was told not only that Samuel, Mr. White, K Styles, myself, so many other people were told we weren't supporting the black man. We weren't supporting the black man. You was hating on the black man. All because we told the truth about this guy. When you need him most, he doesn't show up. We were told that this guy has turned the corner and he is a quarterback. This is what we were told. We were told that he was back. Back like the Affleck. Okay? We were told he was back and he was that guy. He was the MVP. And he's an elite quarterback, only to have a game against one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best defense in the league right now. He looked like absolute horseshit. No. But that's not what I'm talking about. That's not why I'm about to sing my song. I told you from the very beginning that this elementary, high school ass offense is exactly what they do, not only in high school, but this is a college offense. There's nothing about this offense says NFL. We've said that before. We've also said, and I've also said, that Lamar Jackson does not make his wide receivers better. Yeah, Lamar Jackson doesn't make his wide receivers better. We told you this. Let me give you guys some numbers via the wide receiver number. Okay? Zay Flowers, your number one target. Number one wide receiver, 6 targets, 2 catches. Rashad Bateman, 5 targets, 2 receptions. Okay? This man had 5 receptions to his wide receivers. Let me say that again. An astounding 5 receptions to his wide receivers. And I told you time and time again, he is a wide receiver killer. Every wide receiver that goes there, they leave and they don't want nothing to do with it. Baltimore is the land to go die if you're a wide receiver. If you want to kill a wide receiver, trade him to Baltimore. Trade him and force him to play with Lamar Jackson. He will die. His career will die, and I promise you that. Time and time again, this happens, and we get this man excuse after excuse. Oh, he need a better wide receiver. How many more motherfucking wide receivers this dude's gonna get? with 16 wide receivers, and damn near all of them failed. This guy is nothing more than one of the greatest playmakers of all time, and he makes plays with his legs. We've been telling you guys this. You know why tight ends, running backs are his number one wide receiver, number one receptions leaders? Because he does not read defenses well. He knows where his escapes are. He knows where his checkdowns are. That offense is designed to get the ball out of his hands quickly and easy. This is why you see him that still to this point. This is the first time in his entire career where this man is on pace to pass the ball for 4,000 yards. First time. He's been in the league for 7 years. And this is the first time in 7 years that this guy has the potential to throw the ball for 4,000. And I'm supposed to believe, and you're supposed to beat an NFL defense and one of the greatest defensive minds and Mike Tomlin with a quarterback who can't get the ball to his wide receivers? Because he's throwing it to him. He's getting the ball to these wide receivers' hands, but the wide receivers, it was a couple of times during that game where Lamar Jackson threw the ball out. I don't know what the hell who he was throwing to. But the ball went over their heads, out of bounds so much yesterday, it was absolutely ridiculous. So many times in the course of a game where they use play action and Isaiah Likely is standing on the sideline by himself. Why? Because it's play action. And we told you exactly what happens. Elite quarterbacks find a way to win big games. He's had big games against two of the best teams in the NFL right now, the Chiefs and the Steelers, and he's lost both of them. Yet we're up here talking about whether or not this man is an elite quarterback. And we told you so. This is nothing new. Until Lamar Jackson shows the world that he can actually get the ball out of his hands into a wide receiver's. Okay? Until he learns how to get the ball into his wide receiver's hands, nothing about this offense has changed. Y'all can sit up here and look at all the touchdowns, but a lot of these touchdowns are manufactured. The greatest asset for Lamar Jackson is his ability to use his legs and not turn the ball over. We state that time and time again. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. But the thing is, that offense is so elementary, he's not going to make a lot of mistakes throwing the football because they're not challenging him as a quarterback, and that's the problem. When you challenge a quarterback, that's when you see what he can really do. But when you ask him to do one or two things, throwing the ball, he looks to throw the ball deep, and he looks to get the ball out of his hand. Nothing else. You don't give him concepts or route concepts where he has to look off defenders, use his arm, this shit is so disgusting at this point, and it's so fucking embarrassing. This dude in his eighth year in the league, and he still got a fucking a wristband with plays on him. Are you fucking serious? Lamar Jackson in his 7th fucking year, and this motherfucker is still using a wristband, a play sheet on his fucking wrist, reading plays off of. Are you fucking kidding me? This man is in his 7th year in the NFL, 3 offensive coordinators, and he still don't know the offense. He's still using the play sheet. Are you fucking kidding me? Kirk Cousins has been in the league for how long now? A good 10 years or so? He's been with this Atlanta Falcons team for less than 1 fucking year, and he's not using the play. But you trying to tell me that Lamar Jackson is an elite quarterback and this motherfucker been with this team for 2 years and he's still using the fucking play sheet? Are you fucking kidding me? The Baltimore Ravens made him look like an elementary high school player running around with a chicken with it. All they did the whole fucking game is play the deep ball and force him to check the ball down, and he could not do anything. Why? Because Pittsburgh has the athletes to be able to combat what he wants to do. And I don't know how you, as a football player, the football fan, and if we're talking about a football fan that looks at every position, and you look at Lamar Jackson and say, yep, that guy right there is a real quarterback. No, Lamar Jackson is and always be a playmaker. If he's not running, you not winning. And that's exactly what Pittsburgh did. All you got to do is exactly what Pittsburgh did. They weren't attacking him until he was uncomfortable, until they can get, they weren't much. It was a mush rush. Anybody know what a mush rush is? It's a controlled pass rush. They were disciplined in their pass rush. They got after him, but they weren't undisciplined. And this is how you defeat and get the best of Lamar Jackson. That's exactly what we saw that. So when you talk about Lamar Jackson as a quarterback, I don't want to hear any of that until he makes it to the Super Bowl. I don't want to hear anything about Lamar Jackson being an elite quarterback. Because time and time again, this man fails in the biggest moments, and we still trying to say that this guy's an elite quarterback. Yesterday was absolute disgrace for a quarterback to have less than 5 fucking receptions to a quarterback, to a wide receiver. You're an NFL quarterback, and you got the ball in the hands to your wide receivers 5 fucking times. Russell Wilson was 23 of 36, and he got the ball into his wide receivers, more wide receiver than Lamar did his entire offense, his wide receiver core. Think about that, what I just said. Russell Wilson got the ball to one wide receiver more than Lamar Jackson did his entire wide receiving core. Think about that for a second. George Pickens had 8 catches for 89 yards. The entire Baltimore Ravens, Zay Flowers with 2, Rashad Bateman with 2. I think Tylen Wallace had one, if I'm not. Just think about that for a second. And we're still having a debate that this guy's an elite quarterback? No, absolutely not. That's an absolute disgrace. So until Lamar Jackson learns how to get the ball into the hands of his quarterbacks, I don't want to hear a damn thing else about him being an elite quarterback. Until he learns how to beat teams that he should be beating, I don't want to hear nothing about it. It's everybody else's fault. It's the offensive coordinator's fault. That's all I hear with him. Oh, it's the offensive coordinator's fault. It's the wide receiver's fault. Every fucking year we hear the same excuse for Lamar Jackson. It's everybody's fault except for him. And let's get into the big story. And this is where the comments come in, and I will take all of you guys' comments right now. All you questions, everything right now. But I had to get that shit out with Lamar Jackson. I don't want to hear shit else about no Lamar Jackson being an elite quarterback. I don't want to hear that damn thing about him and his MVPs. I don't want to hear any of that. The better quarterback on the field yesterday was Russell Wilson. And that's the same guy that everybody said they was washed up. How long do you think Kirk Cousins' contract is going to last? I will get to that. I will get to that. King, it's all good, man. Don't worry about it. Look, anybody use harsh words or harsh language here, look, it's us. Well, me. Me, if anything. So the language, yeah, you good. Like I said, our post-game shows, for the most part, we try to keep that PG because we're sharing platforms. So I try to keep the cursing to a minimum. And I know we have kids watching our show also, so you know, like I said, I'm doing better at trying to keep cussing down to a minimum. But yeah, do you think that quarterbacks? Hold on. You said, do you think quarterbacks that can run don't develop patience in the pocket they need because running is an option? No, I don't think so. No, that's we've had guys like, you know, Warren Moon. Warren Moon wasn't in his heyday, he could move, but like as he got older, Warren Moon couldn't move. Doug Williams, a pocket passer. Steve McNair is a guy who could use his leg, but he stayed in the pocket. Donovan McNabb is another one of those guys. Randall Cunningham is another one of those guys that could use his leg, but he was a tremendous quarterback, and you saw him architect one of the greatest offense of all time with the Minnesota Vikings. So having athleticism isn't something that hinders you. You're either stupid or you not. Okay, you either a quarterback or want to be a quarterback or not. And most of these quarterbacks are not serious about the position in itself. All right. It doesn't matter how athletically gifted you are. You have to want to be a quarterback. You have to want to give the ball and get the balls into your wide receivers, tight ends, running backs. hand. You gotta want to know how to read a fucking know the offense and not use a fucking play. Like, you still in the 8th fucking year and you still using the damn wristband the whole game. Like, let me say this again. You in your 7th, 8th. These are the things that you have to want. So athleticism isn't an excuse for any quarterback to not want to be a better quarterback, a better thrower, a better leader. So absolutely not. We've had some Fran Tarkenton, Archie Manning. Like, we've had some great quarterbacks that had the ability to move. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. Like, these guys could really move. And I'm talking about, nobody would say that Aaron Rodgers is not a great athlete. That motherfucker, look, Aaron Rodgers is a bad man. I think he won like 4 MVPs, if I'm not mistaken. And that dude was a pocket quarterback and a mobile quarterback. Like, look, athleticism has nothing to do with the inability. So I love the question, but that's an excuse. I wouldn't say excuse, probably wrong word, but like, no. That's something that you have to want. And most quarterbacks just don't want that because they get so much praise and adulation from the fan base because you run fast. Look at that piece of trash, Justin Fields. This man can't throw for more than 2,500 yards, but he gets so much praise. What he get praised for? Running. What do we know Justin Fields for? Running. Because it ain't throwing. It ain't being a quarterback. It ain't his ability to get it to his wide receivers. So when you talk about a quarterback, what's up, Strapped Up? What's going on, Michael Corgill, James Rocco? What's going on? How you doing? Antonio, Austin, everybody. William Paul, how you doing? Joseph Martinez, what's going on? But it's something that guys have to want. Like I said, it's the perfect example of a quarterback that has the ability. Like, look at Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie is another quarterback when you look at his athleticism. Like, this dude was athletically gifted. He's one of the most athletically gifted quarterbacks there has ever been. But he didn't have the size, the stature to even be an NFL quarterback. I think he was like 5'9", if that. But when he played, yeah, Doug Flutie was that dude. Like, this is something that you have to want to be a good quarterback. You would have you gotta want that. I don't see Atlanta doing too much. Lucky we finish 9-8 and win the division. James, how you doing, sir? I mean, this is where we got to temper our expectations. This, like we've said, and this is why every year, this is why I don't do predictions, because you end up looking like an absolute fool, and then you put even more unrealistic expectations on yourself because you look at what the team is and what it could be. And as a fan and an analyst, you think this team could be like this, but you got to really focus on whether or not these guys are going to come together. And I don't remember who I was listening to, but they stated that it may have been, you know what? I was looking at the, God dang it. I was watching the Atlanta Falcons, and on their podcast, I'm so mad. The announcer, Dave Archer, those guys, they were having a conversation about the Atlanta Falcons. Like, look, everybody was looking at the Falcons on paper. As a matter of fact, it wasn't Dave Archer. It was John Abraham. I was watching him and his Kiera, I appreciate you for sending that, but like he stated this last night. So y'all got, if you watch 11, you stay in Georgia and you're able to watch 11 Alive with Maria Martin and John Abraham. John said this: the Atlanta Falcons have all the talent in the world. But the problem with this team is that these guys haven't played together. You got to understand that playing together, understanding where this guy's going to be, the chemistry. John Abraham stated this last night about the chemistry on NBC. So if you follow Maria Martin on Twitter, okay? Follow her on Twitter. So you can watch her and John Abraham. He does a lot of breakdowns on the Atlanta Falcons. And he stated that a lot of the issues with the Atlanta Falcons and with this team and offensively is not these guys aren't good enough or they don't have the skill. These guys just have not played together. You got to be able to play together. You got to be able to understand where this guy's going to be, his habits, all these types of things. And even, like I said, even coaching, but a lot of these players haven't played together a while. So when we talk about my expectations for the Atlanta Falcons is always based around chemistry, how these guys finally start to come together offensively as players, but more importantly, the coaching staff also. This coaching staff is just as young as the Atlanta Falcons players. They still learning these players. Zach Robinson's still learning these players. Jimmy Lake is still learning these players. These guys have not been together a while. So when you go in with these unrealistic expectations, thinking the Atlanta Falcons going to make a long Super Bowl run, like you've already stayed off. You've already got off on the wrong foot. You know what I'm saying? Like you already got on. So I thought the Atlanta Falcons had the ability to make the playoffs. That's it. I don't put a wins on this Atlanta Falcons. I don't like to do that. I compare them to the NFC South. You compare them to the Carolina Panthers. I thought they were better than the Carolina Panthers. I thought they were better than the Bucks, and I thought they were better than the Saints. I thought the Bucks would be a little bit better with them, close to with the Atlanta Falcons, but compared to the NFC South, the Atlanta Falcons had the ability to make the playoffs if everything went well with the defense, which we'll get to in a few seconds. But if everything went well with the defense, the Atlanta Falcons could make a playoff run and a Super Bowl run. But everything was predicated on how the defenses come. So now we know that the defense isn't what they were. Now we're back to reality. Back to life. Back to reality. The Atlanta Falcons are back to reality. So 9-8, winning the division. Like I said, I'm with you with winning the division. I think you still win the division, but like I said, I don't really want to put a number on it. Will we make a coaching change and we'll be spending money on the defense next year? So I'm gonna get to that, Raheem. Like I said, I want to answer you guys' questions, comments, and whatnot. I don't think so. Unless there's something behind the scenes where he promised Arthur Blank, and Raheem promised Arthur Blank something that we don't know about, or we yet to see. I don't know about, unless he promised something to get that job and he's not fulfilling that promise. I don't foresee the Falcons making a coaching change, in particular head coaching change. I don't see that happening. And like I said, unless he lied to or he didn't live up to what Arthur Blank wants this team to be defensively, and he's not fulfilling that, yeah, I don't see that happening. But spending money on the defense, I mean, I think when you talk about spending money on the defense, it just has to be with the right player. And right now, the Falcons have way too many guys, with question marks on the defense side. Like, including Grady Jarrett. Like, there's no guarantee that Grady Jarrett is going to be here for the amount of money that he's making. You're talking about a guy that's pushing 30. Typically, when guys hit 30, that's when you start to see, the decline in their game. So, in regards to that, the Atlanta Falcons, I don't see the Atlanta Falcons making a move and a change as far as like spending a bunch of money, unless there's a guy out there that you just cannot miss. But I think they will explore the idea of bringing in an elite edge rusher, whether that's in the draft or free agency. We'll see. But I think Raheem needs to take over play calling. Also put the blame on Kirk. We also might need Penix in. Strapped up, I love you to death, but no, absolutely not. I gotta tell y'all, okay? Get out your fucking feelings. Get the fuck out of your feelings, people. This is Raheem's defense. Okay? I know Raheem is a likable, lovable guy, and he's done a good job so far. But this is his defense. He is calling this defense. Okay? Raheem is not an offensive guy by trade. Let me say this again. Raheem Morris is not an offensive guy by trade, okay? All this bull that y'all hearing about, he put him on the offensive side of the ball and the Atlanta Falcons offense wouldn't have been this without Raheem. Get the fuck out of here. Raheem Morris helped design the play, and I'm talking about the passing game. Let me say this again. Raheem Morris helped design the passing game for the Atlanta Falcons. Why? Because he was a defensive back guy by trade first. This is why you see the Atlanta Falcons defensive backs playing so much better, but because by trade, that's his level of expertise. Okay? By trade, he is a DB's guy. Okay? By trade, Raheem is a DB's guy. That's why you see a lot of our big plays is being made because of Raheem, Jimmy Lake, Jerry Gray. These guys by trade, this is what they are. So when you look at Jimmy Lake and you wonder why, Jimmy Lake, Jimmy Lake is calling the plays that he's the defensive coordinator, okay? He puts together a game plan. I've said this time and time again. And until you guys realize this, you're just going to be upset. Go to somebody else who's going to tell you what you want to hear. But this is Raheem's defense. He is calling those plays. He's putting those plays. He gives Jimmy Lake a set of plays. This is what the play sheet. You ever see the play sheet? And you see these offensive coordinators and coaches, they write something after they write on those play sheets. After something happens during the course of a game, this is why you have those 15s. That's why you have those 15 plays that they script, because they have 15 plays by 15 to 20 plays that they want to run in the course of the game. And what happens is with the defensive coordinator and the coach, sometimes the defensive coordinator on the head coach or the offensive defense coordinator, they erase something off when it's not working and say, all right, this ain't working. But the play that Jimmy Lake is being given is something that Raheem has to approve, okay? Raheem has to approve the plays. This is not Jimmy Lake's defense. He's in charge of the defense. He's in charge of the substitutions. Because they have they put it together, a rotation of guys that they want, that Raheem approves, and they want to play from game to game. So Jimmy Lake is in charge of what Raheem approved. So when people say Jimmy Lake need to be fired and he need to be this, maybe he does need to be fired. But to say that this is not Raheem's defense when he is by trade the defensive guy, okay, it'd be different if it was a situation like Arthur Smith. By trade, Arthur Smith was a offensive guy. He approved and he brought in a defensive coordinator guy like Dean Pease, because defensively, that's not his expertise. So when I hear people say, oh, Jimmy Lake need to be fired, well, Jimmy Lake gonna be fired because he's gonna be the scapegoat. That's why I agree with people. Jimmy Lake is going to be fired because he's going to be the scapegoat. They're going to bring somebody in here with a little bit more experience, and they're going to bring a defensive guy that knows more about the trenches than he does the DB group. So Raheem, does he then take a play calling? Nah. Those are his plays. This is why offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators and some head coaches, they hire a lot of young guys, because what they don't want to do is have somebody that's going to come back and second guess what they trying to do. Guys and their egos. They don't want a guy that's going to and challenge your authority. Hey, look, I saw and it was a couple of moments during the Denver Broncos game where you saw Sean Payton having a heated discussion with his defensive coordinator. Those guys were going back and forth. Why? Because Sean Payton, that's his fucking team. He's telling the defensive coordinator what he need to be doing. He's challenging that because that's his team. You ever think to yourself, why Raheem Morris ain't mad at Jimmy Lake? Let's take a second to think about that. If this was Jimmy Lake's defense and the defense playing as poorly as they did, why do you think he's not yelling, screaming, or upset with him in no way? Huh? Why you don't see him calling out Jimmy Lake? Why don't you see him having any discussion with Jimmy Lake on the sideline? Because this is not Jimmy Lake's defense. Look, he not upset with Jimmy Lake because he put it together. He approved it. That's why you don't see him upset with Jimmy Lake or saying anything foul about Jimmy Lake, because he approved it. It's common sense. So all you fans that pointing the finger at Jimmy Lake and saying this Jimmy Lake need to be fired, he not upset with Jimmy Lake because he told Jimmy Lake to do this. It's not that difficult. This is the same thing that Dan Quinn did. Well, Richard Smith, when he was the defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, and he challenged Dan Quinn, Dan Quinn fired him. Remember that? He fired him. When Brian Cox challenged Dan Quinn, he fired him. When Dan Quinn started feeling the heat, guess what he did? He got rid of Marco Emmanuel. All the blame went to him. You see what I'm saying? So Jimmy Lake is going to be the scapegoat, especially if this defense does not turn around. Jimmy Lake will be fired and he will be out of here, because this is what coaches do. Anytime you have anyone that's going to challenge a defensive coordinator or challenge the head coach, they typically end up moving. Oh, we're just going to decide we're going to get rid of a guy. We're going to decide to let him, seek other opportunities. Old Brick is another one of them got. Because they start challenging Dan Quinn. Have you ever seen Andy Reid yelling and screaming at Steve Spagnuolo on the sideline? Anybody ever seen Spagnuolo and Andy Reid yelling, screaming at each other? Why? Okay. Have you ever seen Steve Spagnuolo and Andy Reid yelling and screaming and cussing at each other? Exactly, Brian Peeps. Why? Because Andy Reid don't know a damn thing about defense. He let Steve Spagnuolo run that defense because it's not his fucking defense. And Andy Reid, by trade, is not that. So he bring in somebody who knows defensively. By trade, he's an offensive guy. So why he gonna be upset with a guy with that's his expertise? When there's a challenge, when a guy understands, when there's issues, especially if a defensive guys, they go head and hit. They go head up because it's when you look at defensive guys, a lot of these defensive guys have issues with other defensive guys because they challenge their authority. They want to be known as the smart guy. And that's the thing. Andy Reid is gonna bring a guy in that knows his defense, so he can just focus on getting that offense straight. And defensive coordinator get fired under Andy Reid because they don't live up to their obligation. But Raheem Morris is a defensive guy, so he's not gonna be upset about a defensive guy, a defensive coordinator, because he's the defensive guy. He's the defensive head coach. He's the defensive mastermind. So all this stuff that, Jimmy Lake and he need to be fired and he's the reason, no. No, strapped up. I got you. It's when I highlight most comments, I talk, more so not in general and more so not directed towards you, but just overall picture, because I'm hearing this from a lot of people. Everybody pointing their finger at Jimmy Lake, but you don't realize the guy that brought him in is a defensive guy. That's him. That's his thing. That's his level of expertise. So why is Raheem Morris getting the benefit of the doubt? Because we got off to a fast start. It's like somebody gave you $100 one time. Shit, you gonna remember that shit. Until they stop giving you money, you gonna be like, nah, fuck that motherfucker. He once gave me $100, but that was 10 years ago. And that's what people did. They attached to the fact that Raheem gave us a feeling, but that feeling was 3-4 weeks ago. Now I need something else. Like, hey, see me that you trying to give me trying to work something out and, help me get some money or help me get a situation. I need to see something. That $100 was shit. That $100 you gave me 10 years ago. Like, what have you done for me lately? Ooh, yeah. That's it. Play calling for Bo Nix has developed more in 11 games. I mean, I told you so. I told you so. I told y'all that Bo Nix was a hell of a player. That's one of the guys, that's one of the quarterbacks I made a video on, and I told you guys, if you could get Bo Nix to calm down and cut down on his turnovers, this dude would be a hell of a quarterback. I told you so. Y'all got to start listening to man Mike. When we talk about this quarterback position, it's not many people that are smarter than me. Okay, when it comes down to this position, because I obsess about the quarterback position. I obsess about the quarterback position. It's not many people that can go toe to toe with me about not only the history, but the position in itself, other than NFL quarterbacks. I obsess about it. And I told people for quite some time that Bo Nix would be a hell of a quarterback under Sean Payton, because Sean Payton knows how to get quarterbacks comfortable. He dumbed the game down to build Bo Nix confidence, and now he has the confidence, and now he's going to be able to throw. Now he's going to have those games, Bo Nix, where, he turned the ball over. Every quarterback had those games where they have off games, but right now, it's like it's no surprise to me. Realistic, are there teams that would trade for Kirk Cousins in the offseason? Look, I'm gonna make a declaration, and we'll probably go in depth with this. But this is my hot take right here. Write it down, take a picture. I don't give a fuck. But this is Mad Mike's hot take. If the Atlanta Falcons defense does not get better, say goodbye to Kirk Cousins. Okay? If this Atlanta Falcons defense does not get any better, say goodbye to Kirk Cousins. He's going to be one and done in the Atlanta Falcons. Why? That scapegoat. It was the reason why you drafted a guy like Michael Penix. It's a plan in place with the Atlanta Falcons. You drafted Michael Penix for a reason. You didn't draft this guy so you can sit for 3, 4, 5 years. If the Atlanta Falcons don't make a deep playoff run, I can sit here and say honestly that I do not see, and it's something that K-Styles even said, I do not see the Atlanta Falcons committing to Kirk Cousins for the next 2 to 3 years. I don't see it. He's done in Atlanta. You didn't put him in just so you can showcase, we losing anyway, let's see what the young guy. No, the Falcons knew exactly what they were doing when they drafted Michael Penix. The Falcons are trying to make a playoff push because right now in the NFC, a lot of teams are down. So they thought they could bring in Kirk Cousins for a year or so, get a young stud like Michael Penix, build around guys like Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, now Darnell Mooney. Prayers out to Casey Washington. It's like, that's what they want to do. They want to build around that young stud. But if this defense doesn't improve, They're gonna start using that money. Guys like Grady Jarrett might be gone. I love Grady, David Onyemata, Nate Landman, Caden Ellis. Those guys gonna be gone, and Falcons gonna start building this team around Michael Penix. So this is one and done for them. So are there teams in the NFL that will trade for him? Absolutely. The quarterback position is absolute shit right now. Aaron Rodgers look like absolute shit. They lost. So absolutely people will trade for Kirk Cousins. Falcons know that. But this is all predicated on how the Atlanta Falcons defense. That's it. It's predicated on how the Atlanta Falcons defense and what if they make a playoff push and a long playoff push, Kurt will be back. But if they don't succeed or have the success that we think or go for, yeah, Kurt is done. I just, like I said, I would like to see Kurt here for the next 2 to 3 years or so. But if the Atlanta Falcons don't live up to the hype and they, especially if they blow this lead, he is done. Kirk is gone. So many players are going to be gone. And Raheem Morris, what he's going to do, he's going to scapegoat players and he's going to scapegoat coaches, and they're going to start building around Michael Penix. Mark it down. They're really paying for Kurt's knowledge and basically paying Kurt to be a teacher, especially if we don't make the nice playoff. I believe so. I think the Falcons made a mistake by, and I don't think they really have a lot of. They were in a tough space trying to play Jake, Grady, Julio all at once, and I think they made a mistake as far as the money is concerned, playing guys that they shouldn't have paid. And they wanted to kind of bring in a quarterback so they can groom under Matt Ryan. But I think they just made the wrong mistake. And they went back to the table. That's why they drafted Desmond Ridder. But the thing is, they didn't have the necessary veteran quarterback around there to help develop him. So now they're going back. They went back to the drawing board and say, all right, we need a veteran quarterback to help groom this quarterback. And I think that's what they did, too, with Kirk Cousins. It's going to go down as a loss in the playoffs. For Kirk Cousins, the narrative is still going to be that he can't win playoffs. I mean, look, I don't know what the future will hold, but, like, the Falcons still have the ability to beat anybody. The problem is that the defense is so inconsistent. And it's taking its toll. And I think Warren said it's taking its toll on the Atlanta Falcons. And Jude talked about this also. It's taking its toll on the offense because the offense has to be perfect because defensively they can't stop anybody in the first quarter. Everybody, it don't matter what level of skill you on, offensively in the NFL, everybody's scoring 14 points in the first quarter on this Atlanta Falcon defense. So it's a sense of urgency for not only Kirk Cousins, but everybody in the offensive. So we're not getting any consistency defensively. I don't blame Kirk for any of this. It's not fair. And like I said, that's the thing. There's no consistency. Any quarterback in any offense needs something from that defense to pick them up. That, like I said, that the defense don't pick them up. It seems like every time we get a turnover or we score right off the bat offensively, the defense gives the touchdown. They give up a touchdown on the very next play. So there's no When you talk about complimentary football for the Atlanta Falcons, there's no such thing as complimentary football because the defense is not being consistent in any way. The defense has dragged this team down and made this division where, look, one win, 1 or 2 wins is still pretty much seal the deal. I mean, the Bucks lose. I mean, they're still down. So it's close. The Falcons just made this a closer a race than it needed to be. Falcons still are in charge, but you need to beat the team you should. And this is why I said, going back, these are fireable offenses. Some owners are just not going to put up with it. I don't know what Arthur Blank's patience is with any head coach right now. We don't know that. He could be saying to Raheem, you one and done because I want to win, and say to hell with that. I did it y'all way with Raheem, but now I'm going to do it my way. Let's bring in Bill Belichick or somebody who, with the resume. I don't know what his patience level is right now with Arthur. Arthur is 80 years old. He wants to win a Super Bowl. So we don't know what his patience. Nothing is guaranteed in this NFL. That's one thing I do know is that nothing is guaranteed. And we don't know how long it's going to take for Arthur to pass the team down and control to his son, because right now, a lot of people don't know that he's kind of grooming his son to take over at some point. Rex Ryan, he's an older cat. I would not be against it. I love Rex Ryan. Anybody know anything about me? I love Rex Ryan and his defense. I just love his coaching style and his defense. So I would not be against it. Good teams win games when they're supposed to. That's it. You can't be losing the team that you should be beating. Bro, that game was absolutely look. That was a disgusting loss. It was humiliating. And the reason why I say Raheem is a liar, just like he's a fucking liar. All this, we gonna make the necessary changes and we gonna be aggressive and we not just gonna sit back and do this. You ain't doing shit. Okay? Raheem ain't doing shit. He ain't changing a damn thing defensively. It's the same shit all game. You played off, and it's been like this since week 1. Playing off coverage, everybody 5-7 yards away from the wide receiver. Every team just sitting down and checking the ball down, and then you wondering why you can't stop the run nor stop the pass. You can't stop anything. And you wondering why these young quarterbacks, veteran quarterbacks that are done, that have career games against the Atlanta Falcons, because he's just sitting back and allowing these guys to just get in the rhythm. You paying 10 yards off on the fucking goal line. You got your middle linebacker on the fucking logo, on the lettering in the middle of the fucking in the middle of the end zone. That's where your linebackers are lined up. And then you wonder why guys are getting into rhythm. That dude was like I think he was like 18 or 19 in the first fucking half of the game. Are you fucking kidding me? You just giving this quarterback more and more confidence. And you heard those guys the whole game. Man, he's really in a rhythm. Well, Sean Payton know that. If you're going to give Sean Payton 5 to 7 yards every quarter, he's smart enough to take it. He's not going to force it. Sean Payton is going to give you exactly what he's going to take exactly what you give him. If you're going to give him 5 to 7 yards, he's going to take it. He'll check that bitch down all day, and that's exactly what happened. He checked the ball down, and the Falcons gave up the most yards that they've given up all year because Sean Payton took what they gave him and they had a career fucking day. And then this dumbass defensive guy and head coach, and Raheem Morris did not fucking changes until the fourth quarter when your ass was embarrassed. Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to hear this persistent bullshit again. Oh, we're gonna be persistent. We're gonna learn from this loss, and no one loss is going to define this team. Shut the fuck up. One loss defining us. The crazy part about that statement, it's not even the one loss. You've been losing the exact same way all year. You can save all that prep talk. You can save all that nonsense that look, all that pretty talk. Look, all that hype shit. Say that shit for kindergartners, cause I ain't buying it. I don't care nothing about your hype and your pregame speeches. God damn it. I'm not looking for a preacher. I'm not looking for a goddamn I'm not looking for a motivator. Fuck a motivator. We looking for a coach that can make the necessary adjustments and learn from their losses. You're not learning anything from your losses. You're doing the exact same thing time and time again. And then when you lose, you want to give us this, oh no, one loss is going to define. Shut the fuck up. All this fucking, oh man, no, one loss, and then we're going to be persistent and we're going to learn from this loss. Man, shut the fuck up. You might as well say embrace the suck. I hear that bullshit. Talking about some goddamn one loss and that. Man, please. Make the necessary adjustments. And it's, like I said, it has nothing to do with whether or not I like them or dislike them. Look, one thing I don't like is to keep losing. And this is with Jew, myself, and a lot of people. We don't like to see the same. Look, it's one thing to lose, but I want you to lose doing it your way. Your way. That's it. I want you to do it your way. This son of a bitch had the fucking nerve to say, okay, he had the freaking nerve to say, when asked the question about the defense and the screens that Denver were running, he had the nerve to say that they stopped blitzing because Denver kept running screens. Are you kidding me? So you let him dictate how you're going to call your defense? That's not doing it your way. You're coaching scared. One thing I love about Kirby Smart, like, he's going to switch things up. Nick Saban, he going to switch things up. They going to do shit their way. Even if that shit ain't working, even if it's not working, they going to keep calling it and they going to switch things up from game to game. He might have Kirby Smart might have a game where his defense is just playing off coverage and it's just frustrating the hell out of him. But the next week, he going to learn from it and say, you know what? I made a mistake right there. We're going to come out aggressive. We're going to get after it. I respect that. But this son bitch right here with Raheem, he refuses to get aggressive. He will not. Why? Because he's scared of an offense saying, oh, we're going to run 15. Oh, they going to run 15 screens. We not going to blitz. That's letting the offense dictate what you do on defensively. That's the problem that I have with Raheem. He coaching like a bitch. Raymond, how you doing, sir? Why were there no adjustments? That's the problem. Look, I don't care nothing about your positivity. Look, there ain't the fucking new day. I don't give a fuck about your power of positivity. Fuck all that shit. You can't fucking, you're not gonna win games with the power of positivity. I don't care nothing about that. I need changes. I need actions. This is one thing I hate. I really don't like about these motivational ass coaches. Because we're gonna be positive and we're gonna support each other. No, motherfucker. Look, what are you gonna do? Action. There is old adage, and you know, as a man of faith, you can sit up here and say, "Oh God, please, I believe you're going to bless me. You're going to bless me." Yeah, God will bless you. But you got to put in some action. You got to go out there and seek. You got to show in there and act. You got to put in action to be blessed on top of it. You can't just say, oh, God is going to bless me and I'm just going to sit in this corner until God bless me. No. And that's what the Falcons are doing. You sitting in that same bullshit ass defense saying, oh, is somebody going to make a play? No. You got to do something different. You got to experiment. You got to put action towards that. And this is what frustrates me with Raheem. All this fucking this bullshit ass positivity nonsense. We're doing the exact same things over and over again. Man, please save that for somebody who gives a shit. You're not gonna blind. Like I'm not a blind follower. You make mistakes. You just don't want to talk about it. I'm in the press conference. I don't want to talk about it. Blessings require actions. Exactly. Corey says there's no such thing as positivity when losing. Like look, you can take little learning lessons from positive, but like losing, ain't nobody trying to hear. Ain't nobody trying to hear that mess, man. We trying to figure out how not to do that again. That's when you lose. We trying not to do that again. What got us the loss to begin with, and that's the problem that we're seeing with Raheem. We're doing the exact same thing that got us the loss to begin with. The 4 or 5 times. Players got to make plays, of course, but you can't make plays. Look, the thing is, players do have to make plays. Players have to tackle well. But if you're doing the exact same things time and time again, for example, in basketball, everybody know I love Steph Curry. If Steph Curry is hitting those shots and they trapping him on the right side of the court, what is the coach supposed to do? Well, keep shooting for the right side of the court? No, you're supposed to do some things to make sure that if they trap him on the right side of the court, have a play call or pick someone on the right side of the court to get him free. Like, you got to do things differently in order to combat what they're doing. You can't just say, all right, Steph, go to that right side and I'm going to pass the ball right here. No, they gonna try to deny that right side and force you to go left. But what Raheem is doing, he's saying, nah, I don't give a damn if you're trapping me on that right side. I'm going to keep shooting on this right side. I'm going to keep going to the right side. It's stupid. And this is what Raheem is doing. He's saying himself, like, look, I don't care if y'all going to keep checking the ball down to your wide receivers, tight ends, and running pick plays underneath. I'm going to keep all my DBs 15 yards away. This is what Raheem is doing. Instead of making the necessary changes, instead of calling plays that's going to help the defense get better, he keep doing the exact same thing. That's stupid. What's up, Trav? How y'all doing? Trav I know I'm positive that he'll have his video corner. So for that, check that out later. It's gonna be coming out after we finish this live. Players have to make plays, but coaches have to play towards their players' strengths. Defensively, they're not doing that, and that's the problem that I'm seeing. I don't know. I've count. If you guys go back, and this is something that I've been watching closely, a lot of the plays that the Falcons, the touchdown that the Falcons are giving up, oftentimes Caden Ellis is in coverage. They're picking on him as a linebacker, but for whatever reason, he refuses to realize that Caden Ellis is not a cover guy. He's like his brother. These guys look, he's like his brother. He's like his father. These are pass rushers. But Raheem, in his head, he refuses to understand that Caden is just not a cover guy. Every time they give up a big touchdown, somewhere Caden Ellis is right there. You can go watch this. You can go watch. Almost 80% of the times when Falcons give up a touchdown on defense side, Caden Ellis to be somewhere around there. And this is what Trav talking about. You got to put your players in position to succeed. You're not doing that. You keep putting the players in the same position, hope something going. That's foolishness. That's crazy. This is the exact same defense that got Dan Quinn fired, where this dumbass still haven't learned a thing. And like I said, there are differences in the defense with Raheem and Dan Quinn? Absolutely. But the thing is, they have the same philosophy, and this is why both of those guys, that's why he had Raheem as assistant head coach, because they shared the same philosophy and my thought that they did not want to give up the big play. So coaches that don't want to give up the big play have a tendency to sit up there and not make the necessary adjustments because they're so focused on not giving up the big play, they don't realize you got to be aggressive at some point. And I will give Dan Quinn credit. When he went to Dallas, he changed that. Does he still wear that same cover 3? Absolutely. But what Dan Quinn did, and this is letting go of that ego, and that's why he got a new head coaching job, is that he mixed man. He blitzed a lot more. And this is why he got a new head coaching job, because he had that Dallas Cowboy defense looking absolutely amazing because he made the necessary adjustments. There's nothing wrong with his philosophy of not giving up the long play, but at some point you have to adjust during the course of the game because teams are going to figure you out. And once they figure you out, you got to be willing to make the necessary adjustments and changes. And Raheem absolutely refuses to get aggressive until it's too late. We can't keep waiting till the third and fourth quarter to make adjustments when he's kicking our ass in the first half. We giving up 14, 20 points in the first quarter, and you want to wait till the third and fourth quarter to make a change. That's foolishness. That's crazy. Ellis and Judon the pass rush and for whatever reason you spend more time in coverage. That's the problem. That's exactly what LT talking about. You're not putting these guys in position where they can succeed. Dan Quinn also presses a lot more. Absolutely. You got to do that. Like I said, it's nothing wrong with the philosophy of not giving up the big play. But that can't be the center of that defense. You got to be willing to change, and he's unwilling to change that right now. They're not pressing. They're not playing enough man. They're not playing a lot of cover 2. Having your DBs 12 to 15 yards the ball makes them have to cover 20 value. Like I said, that's the problem. So I do believe Raheem is a good defensive coach, but what's messing him up and screwing his defense up, he does not want to make the necessary adjustments. He's unwilling to make the necessary adjustments. And this is what I mean by fireable offenses. Do I want Raheem gone? No. I would give him 3 years to get it right. I think that's a reasonable amount of time for him to kind of get his philosophy together, his scheme together, and build a team properly. But this is going to get you fired if you keep this up. Basically said it's going to be a long 2 weeks for the Falcons. It is, man. And that's what K-Style said. This is why we did not want, you never want to go into the bye week on a negative. But this is probably the best thing for the Atlanta Falcons. And we're going to talk about this more on the originators. But like this is probably the best thing. They probably need this butt whooping. Raymond, I don't know. What are they expecting Judon to do in coverage? This dude's 6'4", 270 pounds, and you got this man in coverage. Man, what in the... Come on, bro. It's like having Rikishi trying to goddamn cover Randy Moss down the field. Like, what the hell are you doing? This dude is 270 pounds out here trying to cover a running back and a wide receiver. Man, what the hell, bro? You got Caden Ellis out here trying to goddamn stay, toe-to-toe with a DK Metcalf down the field. What in the hell? I noticed that they got our line. I mean, the spacing in the defensive line isn't the problem. It's the gap. The Falcons the Falcons linebackers aren't very good. Okay, they're not fast enough to be able to make up that space, and that's the problem. You got to have some athletes, and the Falcons don't have enough athletes. So the spacing with the defensive line really isn't the problem, because if you have solid linebackers, the spacing won't matter. So the spacing is fine. The problem is Caden Ellis and Nate Lamb, and they're just not athletes. Look, Nate is gone, in my opinion, after this. He's just not very fast. I just don't. I think the Falcons have to upgrade their linebacker position. These linebackers out. When we could be looking at the Falcons taking a linebacker somewhere between 10 and 20. They need a linebacker bad to go with J.D. Bertrand. I think J.D. Bertrand will probably be that guy for the Falcons. Don't know about Troy, but I think they're going to get a linebacker somewhere in the first couple of rounds. They have to improve that linebacker core. But our linebackers are slow. He does not, and I think that's another thing. That's why I said I'm not saying fire Raheem, but he doesn't have the linebackers to run the scheme that he wants, and that's a major problem. But Caden Ellis should never. They need to stop having Caden Ellis in coverage. I don't know what he's smoking. I don't know what they're doing, but they got to stop that. Yeah, Clay, 15 yards off the ball and it's 3rd and fucking 3. Are you kidding me? And there's something that K-Styles, look, when I tell you Kev absolutely hates it. He hates it. 3rd and 3 and we 15 yards off the ball. Man, please. Lamb is just not an athletic guy. That's a big dude. And they got these big, slow-footed linebackers. And there's something that John Abraham, when we did an interview with him, this is what he called out. He said these linebackers just get caught, they flat-footed. Their feet are not, they're just not athletic enough. They get caught flat-footed way too much because they're not athletes. And that's the problem. You don't have the linebackers to run the defense that you run. So I know the Falcons have some athletes up front. You know, they have some good defensive linemen. Make no mistake about it. But they linebackers are not doing it, bro. They're not doing it. So maybe, you know, K-Styles, and we'll go in depth with that. But maybe the Falcons have to go to more of a 3 safety look at some point. Because like I said, our linebackers ain't doing it, bro. I mean, Millie, that's the thing. That's why K-Styles suggested that the Falcons just have to go to more of a safety look with linebackers. Ellis is a top 10 in tackles, get that man, and that's the thing. He's better when he's close to the line of scrimmage. But for whatever reason, these damn Falcons think that this dude in coverage is just it, bro. That's not it, bro. But the biggest problem with this Falcons linebacker crew knew is that Troy Anderson can't stay healthy worth of crap. So the Falcons are going to have that conversation whether or not Troy Anderson is that guy. And I'm going to have video for that. But like Troy Anderson, you know, a terrific linebacker, a terrific player. But if he can't stay healthy, what good is he is for us? Like we can't keep talking about maybes and all that type of stuff. Right now, Troy can't stay unhealthy, so you're no good for us. So we got to start looking for somebody to take your spot, take your place. That's it. That's just the facts. Look, all this maybe, all that type of stuff, man. Look, right now, Troy ain't helping. And we need guys that's going to be able to help this thing. And, bro, man, Troy Anderson is DeAndre Hunter. Boy, you spoke the gospel right there. Dude good, but damn, boy, he can't stay healthy. He is Troy, bro. Troy is definitely him. Good God Almighty. I say we put Ellis on the edge. Yeah, like I said, Falcons, look, we can't get J.D. Bertrand. The thing is, too, man, we got 2 guys right now, J.D. Bertrand and Troy. Both of those guys have been out with injuries. So, like, we don't have a problem with that right up. I mean, we don't have an answer right now because both of those guys are hurt, and I don't think the Falcons saw that happening with J.D. Bertrand. Like I said, I do like JD. I think he'll be a pretty good linebacker, but he went out with that concussion. I think that really messed up the Atlanta Falcons defense. So I'm gonna give him a little bit of leeway, but I don't think it's bad. I don't think it is as bad. Grady Jarrett looks done. I don't think so. I don't think he's done. I don't believe he's done. I just like he's coming off of a torn ACL, bro. He's still making plays. The thing is, he's the only one that's making plays. Ain't got no help. David Onyemata is despicable. Disgusting. He needs to be gone. We haven't heard from him now. They got Eddie Goldman playing more than David Onyemata right now. David Onyemata has lost favor with this team. Done. I don't remember the last time I heard David Onyemata on the play. In the last 3 to 4 weeks, I don't remember even hearing him. We got Ruke. Like, the Falcons have issues as far as injuries concerned. Like, they haven't had the best of luck keeping their defensive line, but healthy. You know what I'm saying? Just a little freak injury, like little nick, ankle sprains and stuff. Like, it's just little nagging injuries, little knick-knack injuries. So they haven't had the best of luck keeping defensive linemen healthy as far as like the little small injuries. So, like I said, I'm not saying that defensively, we haven't had injury issues, because we have, and that's a part of our struggles as well, keeping our defensive line healthy and keeping our defensive guy. But I just don't. I just need more from Raheem. That's it. I think Rook. I love what I'm seeing from Zach Harrison in the middle. Them moving to Zach Harrison in the middle, man, he looks very athletic in there. Whew. Yeah, I really like I see from Zach Harrison, but I think he went out with a knee injury, I believe. But he looked very athletic. So everybody talking about Grady Jarrett as a 3-tech, man, I think we might got our 3-tech right there. And Rook and Zach Harrison. I really like what I see with Zach Harrison, and K-Styles, that's his guy. He put us on to that. So I love what I'm seeing there. Kentavious Street gone, Goldman gone, Onyemata gone. I wholeheartedly agree with all those. Man, what in the hell are y'all I keep hearing people talk about Kyle Pitts. Like, what are y'all expecting from this man? Because, like, every time Pitts don't have a game where he's not going off, like, everybody, we got to trade him. Like, look, if you have expectations for him, that's your expectation. That's not truth. So my thing is, what are your expectations for Kyle Pitts? As a matter of fact, y'all go to Smitty channel. He actually texted me today, and he gonna have a conversation about Kyle Pitts, and he said he gonna go in on Kyle Pitts. But I just don't agree. He's a tight end. I keep telling y'all he's a tight end, and other teams are not gonna allow him to just go off. I don't know why people think that, but he's a tight end, people. He's not a super athlete. He's a physical specimen that can run a 4.4. Okay? Let me say it again. He doesn't have great feet. He doesn't have great agility. He's just a big guy that can run. He's 6'6", and he can run 4.4. But he's not a wide receiver. And I think it's the expectations of what Kyle Pitts, everybody think that he can be. But he's a tight end, and tight ends, you're going to have games where tight ends just don't touch the ball. Defenses are not. They like a lot of the thing is, too, with people, I don't think people realize this, but defenses do things where they kind of shade tight ends. It gives the illusion that they are one-on-one, but a lot of time what they do, they box these guys in. You got a guy playing inside and outside. And this is what's happening with Kyle Pitts. They're playing him inside and outside. So your quarterback, if he doesn't have the time to get the ball to him, he can throw a pick. And that's what we're seeing with the chemistry with Kirk Cousins and Kyle Pitts, is because he's trying to force the ball into it because he don't have the time to get the ball to him. So it's not that that Kyle Pitts suck. It's just the timing of those, and that's what we're seeing. But I think everybody's still expecting him to be this Julio Jones and this great wide receiver, but he's not a wide receiver. He's a tight end. So, I mean, I'm not going to tell y'all how to feel, but like if you're saying that we need to trade Kyle Pitts because he doesn't have 5 catches for 100 yards every game, I mean that's your expectations. That's not my expectations, and that's not the coach's expectations for him. He's a tight end, and he's having a pretty good year. I think he's like 5th or 6th in the league in receiving yards as a tight end. So I think he's doing a pretty good job being a top tight end. This right here, John, Pitts can run a 4.4 in a straight line, but he's the least agile of all the receivers. And that's it. Because he's a tight end. Great comment. I honestly want to know what make y'all think that Trice would have helped out this pass rush. I mean, go look at his numbers in college. He was one of the best sack guys in college in the nation. He was one of the but being that he went to Washington, he didn't get the recognition. If he would have went to a Georgia, Alabama, Texas, and one of those schools, he would have been highly he would have been noticed a little bit more. But like being that he went to Washington, and Washington does have some pretty good guys, but like Washington is not known for having a defense and having a defensive coordinator that can put him in a position to succeed. So being that he went to Washington, it's like if Trice would have been with Kirby, that man would have been a star. He would have been, he would have been known. So Trice, if you go look at his numbers, he's a hell of a player. Yeah, Trice definitely could have helped us, and that's it. Yeah, that's what I did. But that's why I said I'm so fucking frustrated with Arnold Ebiketie, man. Like this dude is so talented, but he disappears. Every game he disappears. Every other game he'll show up and then he'll disappear for 2 or 3 games. And Brandon Doyle's got some playing time, but it don't matter when like. We have a changing guard right now. D-line got it. I mean, the D-line is getting aged. That's why they drafted Onyemata. Not Onyemata, but that's why they drafted Rook. You got Zach Harrison right there. You got Brandon Doyle. It's like those guys got some young guys. So those guys are going to be the one that the Falcons are going to commit to and build around for the most part and add, pieces around those guys. Mooney has a hamstring. But again, I don't know. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, I just don't know why people like what I think is your expectations. Like I said, if you have expectations that Kyle Pitts is supposed to have like 100 catches in a season and 10 touchdowns, then I think you have that conversation of trading him because it's your expectations, but I don't think it's a realistic expectation when we talk about Kyle Pitts. Would adding players help with the current unchanged scheme? Only one. Look, I think it had a lot to do too with chemistry and figuring out what players are and what to put them. But I think right now the Falcons need to add a linebacker, and right now the Falcons just don't have a linebacker. Like our most athletic, well, our two most athletically gifted linebackers are hurt, injured. And Troy and JD, both of those guys are injured. Now we're forced to put Nate Landman and Caden Ellis. Those guys aren't, they're not athletes at all like that. As far as putting them in coverage. They're skilled, but you talk about athletically gifted compared to other players? Nah. We're missing JD and we're missing Troy. And that's the problem too. So I'm not saying that Raheem doesn't have issues or the Falcons, the Falcons are dealing with a lot of injuries right now on the defensive side of the ball. And that's taking a toll on the defense, but they'll be fine. But yeah, that like I said, Raymond, that's my thing with them. It's just from week 1 all the way to week 10 right now, 11 right now. I still see the same soft coverage. Even when those guys were healthy, it's the same soft coverage, and that is so frustrating. And we know with Herbert, man, like we can't keep playing that soft coverage with him. The play calling, like I said, don't like it. I don't like the defense playing off coverage so much. I do not like playing off coverage almost every play. That shit is so annoying to me. I think that's the thing with the Atlanta Falcons, as far as the defense is concerned. The play calling is so like there's no when it's time to get aggressive, the Falcons don't know what that means. They have no clue what that means to get aggressive defensively. They just play off coverage because they're afraid what teams are going to do instead of being aggressive. Sometimes you got to push them narrative, and the Falcons very seldom push the narrative. They are so afraid of what teams are going to do instead of just being aggressive. But the thing about Brian Flores is he's always attacking. He brings safety. He's bringing linebackers. Like Brian Flores is going to get after you. That's why I like what certain defensive coordinators. The best defensive coordinators are going to get after it. They're not just going to sit back and play a soft zone. They're going to get after you. Do you think Nielsen's scheme was Zach's offense? Man, fuck no. The fuck? Have you seen what he doing down there, even with that good? What the fuck? Have you seen his defense in Jacksonville? Why everybody keep bringing up Ryan Nielsen like he's some great defense? Bro. Y'all act like we had a top 10 defense on the Ryan Nielsen. The fuck out of here. Everybody keep bringing up Ryan Nielsen like he's just having some record year in Jacksonville. He trash in Jacksonville. They just put up 52 on them. Bro, I don't know. Sometimes I really worried about. No, look. Why y'all say he was good when he was here? Why y'all keep saying that? Like everybody keeps, oh, Ron Nielsen was good when he was at when? Because he had a higher sack number? You fiending for sacks, okay? And when you fiend for sacks, you don't look at the whole picture. The Falcons had a veteran defensive lineman that was able to put these guys in position. And Calais Campbell. That's what happened when you got dominant players, experienced players. He's able to, like, Calais was a leader. He was able to put his defensive line and put those players and motivate those guys. Like, he was able to do that. That's why we had 40-something sacks on him. It's like Calais Campbell is going, and we saying that it was Ron Nielsen. If it was Ron Nielsen, he would be doing the same thing in Jacksonville. So obviously it wasn't Ron Nielsen. Like, the fuck? That man got trailed. Like, have y'all seen that? Look, Jacksonville has a good defensive line, and they ass. And everybody keep, like I said, Falcon fans are fiending for sacks, so they'll take anything just to get sacks. But our defense was not good. You say you thought Grady is. I don't know. I believe he's 30-something. We were better. Again, I don't agree. I do not agree that we were better defensively. Like I said, that's just me. Y'all, look, we were not, we weren't, I don't believe the Falcons were better last year. And again, that's a defense that Dean Pease built, and he retired. So that team was built because of Dean Pease. It wasn't Ryan Nielsen. Ryan Nielsen had that 1 year, but Dean Pease built the foundation of that team. Nah, I don't. Again, I do not agree with that. That defense was not better. That shit. Y'all focus on sack numbers, and y'all saying because we had a higher sack number, and Jesse Bates has one of the best years a defensive player can ever have, defensive back can ever have, that we saying that this, like, come on, bro. That's still like the defense better. Look, what's the difference between 20 and 25? Like, come on, bro. 20 and 25, that shit still is terrible, man. See, this is exactly what OG Sam be talking about. Y'all fiending for numbers so bad, y'all will get excited about bullshit. Being ranked 20 is not good, okay? It's not good. I don't know what, look, 20 and 25, that's not good, okay? And that's not better. That shit's still ass. Like, we declined 5 spots, and now all of a sudden, yeah, but we were better last year. No, the fuck we weren't. That shit was ass last year, and it was ass this year. Again, Bud Dupree was an experienced defensive lineman. Calais Campbell, experience. Like, that's how you get sacks. Guys know how to get after the quarterback and know how to get off the field. We don't have a lot of experienced guys on the edge like that now. But like I said, like to say this defense is last year's defense is better than it, it's like, no, that shit is not. 20 and 25 and ranked 20 in anything, that shit ain't good. So y'all can stop that goofy shit. Nelson was disappointing last year. Remember the Vikings and Cardinals game? Yes, we do. Believe me. Look, everybody plays. The best teams in the NFL play a 3-4. So all this 4-3 bullshit that everybody keep talking about it, y'all need to shut the fuck up with that shit, because that shit is stupid. All the best team, if you look at all the best teams in the NFL, they play a 3-4. Why? Because it's more flexible. You can do more things in a 3-4 than you can do on a 4-3. Look at the history of the great defenses, and most of the great defenses play a 3-4. Go back and look at that San Francisco defense. Y'all remember that San Francisco? 3-4. Ravens, 3-4. Pittsburgh, 3-4. Patriots, 3-4. All the best defenses come out of a 3-4. So all this nonsense that everybody keep playing, talking about a 4-3 is the best defense, it's not. Von Miller in that defense is 3-4. The Dallas Cowboys, when they had DeMarcus Ware and this guy, 3-4. All of the best teams, all the best defense play out of a 3-4. So I don't know where y'all get this nonsense that the 4-3 is the best thing ever. It's not true. Even the 85 Bears, okay? I don't know. I don't know where y'all got this information, but it's not true. All the best defenses play out of a 3-4. All of the greatest defenses, damn near 98% of the greatest defenses of all time have all played in a 3-4. Linebackers were way better. It's hard to run a 3-4 with flat linebackers. It's not that. See, the 3-4, the thing with the 3-4, the spacing for a quarterback is not the same. It's easier for a quarterback to get into a rhythm against a 4-3 than it is a 3-4. Because the spacing with the linebackers are different. So a good quarterback out of a 4-3 will destroy a 4-3 defense. Okay? A good quarterback against a 4-3 will absolutely destroy that. That's why if you look at most of go back and watch Matt Ryan against the Pittsburgh Steelers, 3-4, struggle to get into a rhythm, because the spacing is different in a 3-4. That's why it's best to play a 3-4 than a 4-3. Even look at the Clay Matthews going back to the Packers, 3-4. Like it's right there for you guys. But like he said, the key with 3-4, you got to have a linebacker. Not linebacker, but a nose tackle to be able to keep those guys free. Like I said, I don't know why that narrative got started, but it's not true. This ain't a video game. All the best defenses have played in a 3-4. All of the greatest, damn near 90% of the greatest defenses of all time have all played in a 3-4. But it's easier for any quarterback to dissect a 4-3 than it is to dissect a 3-4. The 85 Bears ran a 4-6. Well, the 4-6 for them, they had 4 guys, but that 4-6, see, they had what the 4-6 did. It's like the grits blitz, and a lot of time they didn't have. Well, the thing is with the 4-6 too, they sent blitzes off the edge. And during the 85, it wasn't a lot of passing. Also, in the 80s, they were pretty much predicated in the 80s at that time. It was just running the ball. But since the game has changed, it's harder. It's easier for a quarterback because the game has changed, because the league is more of a passing league. A 3-4 is the best defense to go with when teams want to pass the ball, because again, the spacing is different. So the 85 Bears, they were so good because teams wanted to run the ball. So that's the type of defense that's the formation that you use to stop the run, is a 4-6 to stop the run. But the Bears were that good because obviously they had one of the best linebackers and best defensive linemen, but that was a running league. But since the league has changed to a passing, that's why teams run a 4-3. So when it all comes down to it, like I said, I know Falcons fans are frustrated with Jimmy Lake and his team, but it's going to take more than 6 months to build the defense and build the team properly. But my frustration is just Raheem is just lying. He's a liar when he says that this team is going to make the necessary adjustments. They haven't made any adjustments in that secondary whatsoever. These guys sit up there and they play 15 yards off the ball, and they've been doing that since week 1. So until he changed that for me, he's a liar. And everybody ignore it. You can go back and watch the Pittsburgh game for you saw the same thing with the cover guys. And maybe he's doing that because he don't trust the linebacker to be able to get to certain spots. Maybe that's the case, and it could very well be the case. But he's not changing anything. What he's doing is getting into these press conferences, lying to us and saying we're gonna get it better, but nothing is getting better. He's not getting aggressive. He's not playing those DBs closer to the line. That's a lie. Do not believe anything Raheem is saying if he making the necessary adjustments defensively with those DBs. Because even when it's the goal line. You're in the goal line defense. You paying 15 yards off. You paying 10 yards, 8 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards off on the goal line. He's not changing it. He's a liar. He's not changing it. It don't matter where we are on the field. He's lining 5 yards off of guys. So until he changes that, Raheem is a liar to me. Period, point blank. So with that being said, man, I appreciate you, brother, for joining us. And like I said, we got plenty of things aligned for this today, throughout the week. The Lady Birds AFN, check out Christy and the ladies. Christy, Maggie T, Asia, Auntie Pam. I know I'm missing a few people. My mind just went completely blank. Whitney J, like I said, everybody, just stay tuned for that Tuesday. Ladies gonna give their take, and I know it's gonna be nasty. So with that being said, man, nope, the Atlanta Falcons are definitely not living up to the expectations that we all hoped and wanted. But it's far from over. And until Arthur Blank comes out and say that Raheem is fired and he doesn't have any trust in him, I'm going to stick with him. Yeah, I'm going to be pissed off, but I'm going to stick with him. So, that being said, your boy Mad Mike is out. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Peace.